Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here. I'm here this afternoon because what I want to do is I want to show you how you can create your own data set in Excel. And the reason why I've made this data set is because I was doing some statistical work in Excel and I needed a data set. I looked on the internet to see if there were any data sets available, and no, there were not any suitable data sets. So I thought that it would be a good idea to create my own data set using Excel VBA. And once I created my own data set using Excel VBA, I wanted to make a video on it to show my YouTube viewers what I've done. So this is a very simple data set, but you can use this data set as the basis to make it larger, to put more information in it. So just use this one as your basic data set. And if you want to put more information in it or make it complex, you can make it complex. So the first thing we do is I created this program called Make Train Dataset because it's a data set for a train schedule. So we come over here and we're in Make Train Dataset. And then what we're going to do, I just save it automatically all the time anyway. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run it. So it says enter the first date of this data set. So I'm going to say 1 September 25. It says enter the last date of this data set. So I'm going to say 7 September 25. It says enter train capacity. I'm just going to say that every train can hold 80 passengers. And then so what it has done is we have created a data set for you with a start date of 1 September 25 and a stop date of 7 September 25 to go for 24 hours. And then so you have your passenger count, which is a random number. You have your train capacity, which is 80. You can make it any capacity that you want. And then if you wanted to make the data set more complex, you could put more than one type of train to have more than one capacity as well. And then it says number of trains needed, and it tells you how many trains that you need. So you take the number of passenger count divided by the train capacity, and then you round that up to the nearest integer, and that's going to be the number of trains needed. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you the code, because the code is what we're going to be looking at. So you create your module, so it's Make Train Dataset, and then what we have to do is we have to define all of the variables that we're going to be using. Define is dim. I don't know what dim stands for, but you have to define it. So we're going to have date call as a date. We're going to have hour as an integer. We're going to have passenger count as a single, train capacity as a single, trains needed as a single, row num as an integer, D as a date, H as an integer, upper bound as an integer, start date as a date, and end date as a date. So we say start date equals input box. Please enter the first date of this data set. So it'll give you an input box to enter the date. End date is input box. Please enter the last date of this data set. Train capacity equals input box. please enter train capacity. So this is based on only one type of train. But if you wanted to make the program bigger to put more than one type of compact train, then you could add an extra column for train type, and then you could enter an extra inbox for train capacity. So now what we're going to do is we're going to enter the cells for the label being row 1 and columns A, B, C, D. And the way they do it in VBA is column 1 is A, column 2 is B, column 3 is C, column 4 is D, column 5 is E. So we are only using 5 columns in this instance, which is columns A to E. So cell 1, dot value equals date, and then 1, 2 is hour, 1, 3 is passenger count, 1, 4 is train capacity, 1, 5 is num trains needed. And then row num is 2 because we've already used row number 1 as your labels. And since we've already used row number 1 as your label, so we're going to have 2 for loops. One for loop is going to be for your day, and then the second for loop is going to be for your hour. So for D equals start date to end date, and then that's your first for loop. And then your second for loop is for H equals 0 to 23. So it starts with 0, which is 12 o'clock midnight, and goes to 23, which would be 11 o'clock. Cells, row num, 1, dot value equals day, and then cells, row num, dot 2, dot value equals age. And so what I did put a little bit of complexity in here. And so what we did was we said that if the hour is less than 5, then upper bound is 100, else upper bound is 400 in it. So between 0 to 5, you're only going to have no more than 100 passengers. But between 5 to 2300, you can have up to 400 passengers. So your passenger count equals int, brackets, upper bound times round, plus 1. So that's going to generate a random number up to 400 or 100, depending upon what the hour count is. And then cells, row num, 3, value equals passenger count. And then cells, row num, 4, dot value equals train capacity. Trains needed equals passenger count divided by train capacity. And then trains needed equals negative int, brackets, negative train needed. And what that does is that rounds that up to the nearest integer. Cells, row num, 5, dot value equals trains needed. So row num equals row num plus 1. So you're just going to increment it to the next row number. And then next is the next for the for loop for the hour. And then next is the next for the for loop for the day. And then you're going to get a message saying end of program. And then you get a message saying end sub. And so that concludes this program. And as I said, it's a really simple program. It's used to make a really simple data set, but you can expand upon this program to add more columns if you want to add more columns. So like, let's say if you want to add a different type of train, or if you want to add a different type of train capacity. So you could have a train capacity of 80, or you could have a train capacity of 1. But then what you would have to do is you would have to put more information in your for loop. So you'd have to put more information about what type of train it is that you were using. And then so if the train was a certain train number, then you would have a train capacity of 80, or if it was a certain train number, you would have a train capacity of 100. So you can make this program more complicated if you want to, but if you want to leave it the way it is, then you can certainly leave it the way it is. But this is just how you can get a train data set to forecast on train scheduling on Excel. And I did that because I couldn't find a train forecasting schedule for Excel. So I thought it would be a good idea to make one in Excel VBA because I didn't want to enter all that information manually. So I think that concludes this video. I showed you how to make your own train data set in Excel VBA. If you use it, let me know what you thought of it. If you modify it, let me know what you thought of it. And I might make some more data sets as well as time goes on. So thank you so much for watching my video. I look forward to making more videos for you. So please like and subscribe.